So today we feel like reviewing Kung Fu from Beyond the Grave and Simpler Times.
For the beer that takes you back to simpler times.
So the movie starts off with our hero practicing Kung Fu, and his father shows up and he accidentally kicks him in the face. And he's not convinced at first that it's his father, but...
Well, it's a flying green person. What would you expect? So the reason why his father is visiting is to give him a message from beyond the grave.
You're a grown man now. You must seek revenge for me. I was murdered by Kam Tai Fu from Yellow Dragon Town. I worked very hard to save my money down in hell so I could ride my way out to see you. What's that?
So we immediately then cut to our villain, who is fighting his brother.
Yes.
Trying to get a magic book.
You're not exactly sure it's a villain at this point, but he definitely looks
I mean, he's
of
got
an
this
evil variety.
long ponytail. Is kind of... And he makes like these funny faces throughout the film. The brother defeats the villain, but because he's good of heart, he decides to let the villain go.
Yeah, get out of here.
And of course, as soon as he turns around, the villain kills him. Now our hero walks up to the dead body.
And the villain's looking for something.
Yes, but he didn't find it.
Doesn't find it. It's not in any of his pockets.
For whatever reason, the villain's gone at this point. For whatever reason, our hero finds the brother's body and starts stabbing it.
He grabs the sword and just starts hacking away at his knee bits.
And as he's doing it, the handle comes off.
It just pops right off.
And out comes the magic book.
The Book of Magic?
So we assume at this point the hero is trying to get to Yellow Dragon. And I'm not sure if that's a place or a person. That might be the villain.
I'm assuming Yellow Dragon is the name of the palace or the area. Because you see that it pans into a sign, which is in Chinese. And I forgot all my high school Chinese.
And we see our villain, who is a dark magician. And he is doing incantations.
Yes.
He's trying to make the Emperor invincible.
Immune to weapons is how they word it. So I don't know if that means live forever. It doesn't really matter. The head boss, the head honcho, wants to become invincible. And he has this wizard doing all sorts of gross parlor tricks to make that happen.
The main ingredient that they use to make the Emperor invincible is the hearts of pure couples, but they must remove the hearts during an orgasm. So then they take they like boil the heart and they make a soup out of it. And then we see our
dry ice
magician, complete with dry ice, having spit takes and just spitting on the Emperor.
It's incredibly weird.
Another thing that they have to do is any of the couples that they take the heart from, they have to make sure that they scalp them. Because with their scalps, they could return as spirits and haunt our bad guys.
Right. So, to prevent spirits, cut off your hair. I'm working on it.
My father's spirit returned a few days ago, and it said that he had died horribly. And he urged me to come here and look for you.
Why look for me?
To take revenge!
Oh, revenge. He wants revenge.
Stupid!
I have to say, this movie's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But even still, it keeps your attention, and the kung fu scenes are fucking badass.
Yeah, the choreography for the kung fu is really, really good.
Yeah.
We've seen a whole bunch of crappy dollar store Chinese kung fu films, and this one actually, it's really fun. Everyone's got their shit down. It's fast paced. There's a lot going on.
There was that one scene that was amazing, and I don't know if they planned it, but they caught it in slow motion.
It was great.
Wow. You want to make me a eunuch?
I want to make her into a priest.
And you just see this little bump go whoosh, and you're like,
Whoo! So we have these two guys entering a crypt, and I started feeling a real connection to these characters because
they're alcoholics.
It's like, well, no, they're going into a crypt is kind of creepy, but the reason that they did it is they wanted free food and free booze, and I don't know, I get it. They're kind of like the Abbott and Costello of this movie.
I'm trying. I won. You lost. All right. Okay, I'm really hungry now. Sit down. Let's have another game. Okay. All right. 4, 5, 7. You lost. All right.
So our hero hears both of these drunk people at a crypt, so he goes to investigate and realizes they're just drunks. And he ends up falling asleep at the crypt. The drunk people run out, fleeing these undead creatures, and the creatures surround the guy.
I believe this was our first introduction to the
Beyond the
zombie
Grave part of the movie.
What is the Chinese name for it? They have a specific
Zhongxin?
Zhongxin?
Zhongxi?
Go on, get out of here.
I don't remember what happens next.
Me neither.
I remember he tries to summon these gods, but what he does is he sits down and all you hear is like this Morse code. And you hear this Morse code, it's like this radio signal, and then you see a coffin open up and like a TV
An old
antenna.
aerial antenna.
Yep, like come out of the coffin.
Because that is how you speak to the underworld in China.
And they're like, we gotta get a better signal.
Yeah, it's like completely out of left field. I mean, most of the movie is, but it's within its own continuity.
It wasn't a comedy other than the little Abbott and Costello.
Right, and so there's just like this brief snippet of like modern technology for no reason other than like, yeah, that'd be funny. Let's do that. And they did. So yeah, he finally contacts the spirit world, and the ghouls which he encountered before interrupt his seance or prayer. And he's like, what the heck? And the ghosts are like, we're gonna help you out, bro. We got you. We're street.
And then they go into Yellow Dragon. There's this like cheesy overlay where they're kind of transparent, and they switch back and forth from that effect and them actually being there.
They're ghosts, so they're like invisible or translucent, but no one really sees them. And they're playing pranks on the guards who earlier in the film tried to prevent our hero from entering. And they distract the guards and allow the hero to sneak in.
Thank you. Come Tai Fu isn't here yet.
We know that.
So why are we here? Hey.
What happens after that is our dark magician villain dude.
We gotta
comes
give
in,
him a name. Darth Vader.
Ponytail Express.
The Ponytail Express.
Ponytail Express comes in, and he could see our guy, and he could see the ghosts.
Right, his connection to magic lets him see spirits and interact with them. He summons these two spirits to combat our hero's spirits. And they're a different breed of ghost, so to speak. They've got these tall pope hats.
Like dunce caps.
And super long tongues. And I'm not sure exactly what that mythology is in China. But they come in.
Like you see, like they don't fight them. they stop, and
It's like they're berating them.
It's like they're having an argument. Like the ghosts are like, "Oh, I'm not doing this," type thing.
You cannot be doing this. Oh, we're not doing this.
So, anyways, they get into this argument, and then
They're jibbing, they're jabbing,
start fighting, and then we get these like crazy, like 1970s era special effects.
Yeah,
what you would see in like the Kiss movie.
Our hero takes out the magic book, which he has gone back to the corpse that he found earlier, and as he pulls out the book, it shoots these red, obviously traced on
animated on the film.
It zaps the ghosts that Ponytail Express has summoned, and they're toast. They turn into grease spots.
Oh, but we missed the most important part.
Was that the scene?
Yeah, the
Shit.
best part of the movie.
Okay, so the movie has... Oh, well, go for it.
Dracula, I summon you.
I'm coming!
So Ponytail Express summons out of nowhere Dracula. He flips out a giant wad of money.
Because apparently Dracula is attracted to money.
He is balling. He's got his game set. So Dracula comes out of absolutely nowhere. He flies in, and it's not an Asian actor. It's obviously a Caucasian guy who they must have just picked up from somewhere. Like, hey, you want to be in a movie? And guy's like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll be Dracula. I can do that.
And it reminds me of like the Hammer films. Like it actually kind of looks like Peter Cushing.
Yeah, there's a resemblance. But
Who
all white
played
people look
not
the same.
Dracula, but
All white people look the same.
yeah, all white people look the same.
They're doing everything they can to stop Dracula, who's obviously a very powerful entity. And so that they try and attack him, and Dracula just poof, disappears. So our hero starts chucking garlic at Dracula, and they're exploding like grenades, even if they miss. Like, I was thinking in my head, like, okay, maybe on contact it would burn
doesn't
him and
have
explode.
to hit him. The
No.
garlic is actually explosive.
So beware Chinese garlic. Moral of the story. So Dracula's defeated by the garlic. He goes off and does his own thing, and it's the best scene of the film. Even if you go online and find this one scene, it will give you pretty much all you really need to see from this movie, entertainment-wise.
Definitely.
But there is a lot more, and I guess let's keep talking at the camera.
You go away! I'm now in charge of all this business.
I'm not sure where this scene comes in, but we get to the Ponytail Express.
Yep.
The black magician, and he's doing some ritual in private.
Yeah,
where
he doesn't want to be interrupted. He's clearly a magician. He's trying to help his boss achieve invincibility, but he's doing something to himself.
And you get a whole array of funny faces from this guy.
He grabs incense and just shoves it into his chest. He's belly dancing.
He's doing this.
Real pissed off when he got interrupted by the other crew, I guess. The bad guys. They come in, they're like, hey, head boss, he wants to see you right now. So get on out. And he throws in a pile of incense, and it just kills a guy. Like, oh, you have incense in your heart, you're dead. Sorry, don't interrupt the wizard. Not that you'd want to walk in and see any of that. Anyway, so we're back to our hero. He's looking for his father's corpse. He finds out that, oh, my dad was killed. He was buried with a whole bunch of other people.
He knew that the whole time.
Well, yeah, but he was buried with a whole bunch of other people. Apparently there's this little plot where the head bad guy has been killing people and dumping their bodies.
He talks to the spirits. He's like, Father, show me where you are. Give me a sign. And so you see this hand get raised out of the grave.
Pick me.
And then all of a sudden you start seeing other hands.
Pick
and
me.
It's like all of them want to be properly buried.
Yes.
But he's like, I know how to find my father. He has 6 fingers.
So they find a corpse with 5 fingers, and he's like, that's my dad. That's him.
You are. I found him!
So our hero is leaving the field of corpses with his father's bones, and they're attacked by a similar type of spirit, which, as we found out through a little bit of research, these Zhangshi, I think is how it's pronounced, they have different abilities depending on how long they've been feeding on blood.
And this particular one is
he can fly.
Yeah, so most of them hop like bunnies because they're very stiff corpses. But this one's able to fly and climb trees. But there's a lady with him, and I don't know what her point was, but Stretch Armstrong Ghost tries to grab at her, like in a kind of creepy way. And anyways, he's like holding on to like her waist belt and like pulls it, and she farts on him.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right.
Like this yellow smoky fart, and that's what defeats him. Speaking of that lady, her father ends up dying.
The Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, she's all distraught, and our hero, the main character, who's
The
been
good guy.
here from the beginning, talking to his dead father, says,
Ji-Hung, the dead cannot return.
They can't come back. Which is great advice if they didn't have
entire-
dead people coming back.
the entire point of the movie,
Lost in one sentence.
Kung Fu from Beyond the Grave.
Yeah, the plot came from Beyond the Grave. So the Ponytail Express is lured into this building, which the good guys have set up a trap. They use the daughter of the Crypt Keeper and a friend to act out a couple who's about to bang each other. And Ponytail Express is like, all right, I can get these hearts. I got to get this potion.
Lo and behold, the Miss China pageant comes out out of nowhere and starts throwing panties on him. Apparently he's allergic to panties, and it kills him, and he has the most anticlimactic last words.
Is he dead yet?
3 against 1? It'd really be amazing if I lived.
So that scene happens, and then we find ourselves back with the big baddie, the head honcho, the Don. So the Don feels really guilty. He's surrounded by a whole bunch of ghosts that
The flaming cotton balls.
the flaming cotton balls, and then there are also the ghosts which are like, you stole our hearts, we need our hearts back, you killed us. And he feels super guilty and anxious, so he rushes back to the forest scene from before, where all the bodies are of the people who he's murdered. And our hero meets him there for the final showdown.
Oh, you're up early, huh? You here for the fresh air and exercise?
And our hero can't lay a finger on the guy because the
because-
magic spell apparently worked, and he's immune to any form of attack.
Except for his nipples.
So our hero finds the weak point for the villain, his nips. So he starts going after the nips.
It's all about the nips.
And he's able to take him down to a certain point, but the bad guy, the Don, is like, okay, well, I'm going to take you out. He picks up the hero and flings him into a coffin, which was interesting because there weren't any coffins there before. The monster zombies
they were
just kind of came out of the
ground.
ground.
They were just buried in the ground, but apparently there's coffins there
There's
now.
a coffin there now. So he gets thrown in a coffin, and the Don throws a lid on it and sits on it. He's basically like, you're toast. Sorry, buddy. I win. I'm the bad guy.
But then the spirits, the ghosts, come back.
Yep.
And start kicking the shit out of the bad guy, but our hero's like, no, I need to kill him.
Yeah, it's really, it struck me as really weird because the hero's trying to take out this bad guy, and so all of a sudden, these spirits are on his side, and he's like, well, I don't want spirits on my side, let me take care of this guy.
The coffin becomes alive and starts chasing him.
Sentient coffin is just like, hey, I'm gonna get you. It's very bizarre, but it's really entertaining. So... how does he die? Because he does. Oh, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
So the bad guy gets stunned and thrown into a pit, and all the other ghosts start throwing dirt on him. They're effectively burying him alive. And they manage to do so, and the hero's like, okay, I've avenged my father. The end. But... right before the end credits roll, you see the Don's body shoot out of the ground as a skeleton, and all the ghosts are like, well, now we're gonna feed. Should we do it now? I don't know. Should we? Yes, we should. Corpse launch, the end, roll credits.
It felt very Evil Dead. Like the last few seconds of the movie
just,
was just the ghosts talking to themselves, like, what are we gonna do with him now?
Right.
You know.
Very, very campy, but
yeah,
it worked. It worked for the film.
And then just the end.
Just block letters. And that was the movie. It was well worth watching. We've both seen it a few times. I recommend it if you like corny kung fu movies.
And I have to say, watching it a second time was just as good as watching it first.
It's humorous. The action scenes are really, really well done. The plot is extremely lacking, which only adds to the entertainment. So the effects of the movie are not stellar. They're very, very cheap, which is one reason why we picked this beer. The movie, we got it at a dollar store. So the movie's cheap, the effects are cheap, everything's cheap. And so is the beer. We got it at Trader Joe's.
It's a good deal. It's less than $5 for a 6-pack.
Yeah, and it's a craft beer. I wouldn't say it's high quality craft beer, but... it's a Pilsner, and to get a pack of Pilsner for under $5 is pretty darn good. The beer itself is a little malty for a Pilsner. It's a little heavier than any lager that I would expect to try, but it's not a bad flavor. It does have a strange aftertaste. I don't really know how to describe it.
I would say I had one out of the can, and for whatever reason, I would not suggest it out of the can. Putting it in a glass makes a world of difference.
It does, yeah, absolutely. It's a fairly cheap Pilsner. It's not great, but for the price, it's definitely well worth trying if you're looking to experiment in different beer styles. So that's about it for the beer. It's a beer. It's cheap and does the job, much like the movie.